I was born a bad seed. I defy the odds. I ain't play the hand that I was dealt. I switched the cards. Still I keep a poker face. Frontin', I'ma catch a case. Flip out, poke your face. You laid out now. What a waste. 50 Cent.
Taking losses is part of the game. Most of us aren't lucky enough to win every single battle or challenges or missions that we are tasked with. We sometimes lose, but those L's turn into lessons and experiences that helps propel us forward into W's. 50 Cent is no exception to that. And today, I'm gonna be breaking down every single thing that I know of his L's that he turned into W's. So let's go. 50 Cent's Rags to Riches stories has been covered extensively throughout the years. His biggest L that I can think of is when he lost his mother Sabrina at the age of 7. Trust me, I felt this L too, as I lost my mother when I was younger. Felt like I was robbed blindly and left for dead out here without anyone to guide me. That is probably the most disastrous event that any child could go through, because you're at a disadvantage compared to any other kids from the get-go. Your attitude towards life changes, and you're sometimes numb to a lot of the stuff that the average individual is sensitive of growing up. But it's all good. He's here now decades later, and so am I, standing tall on all 10s. Getting his feet wet into the music business was probably his first challenge he faced that I can think of. Then he met Jam Master Jay. Back in 1997, as an aspiring rapper, 50 ran into Jam Master Jay and probably thought his life would change after, but that wasn't quite the case, at least not right after.
This is Trinetta Love with City Rhythms, and I am here with 50 Cent. What's going on?
What up? Everything good.
Everything's good?
Everything's good.
Well, what's going on with you? What's happening? What do you have out right now?
I got a new single out called How to Rob. It's off of the movie soundtrack In Too Deep.
Is that the one that How to Rob an Industry Cat?
Yeah.
That they blazing on the radio stations right now?
That's what's going on, you know.
So where did the lyrics come from?
The lyrics, I wrote the lyrics in like 45 minutes in the Hit Factory.
That's from your heart? That's how you feel?
Yeah, that's, you know, it's a little like comedy based on reality, like, you know.
So tell me, how did you get put on? How did you get down with the game?
I was signed to Jam Master Jay at JMJ Records. I was there for like 2 years, and I didn't really see myself going any further from like in that situation. So I pursued the track masters, Columbia, and I got involved through Corey Rooney. Like, he's from around my way. He introduced me to him. He made that happen, and now I signed with the track masters. I went up to like Bearsville, Woodstock, New York. And like I was there for like 18 days. I recorded like 36 songs.
But how did you come to their attention? Through JMJ or?
No, through Corey Rooney.
Oh, okay, Corey Rooney?
Yeah.
Your beeper going off.
At Columbia Records, he wrote for a few artists, including LL Cool J on the song Paradise, and a few of Bad Boy artists, including Diddy, who owned the label. 50's initial connection with Diddy started through J-Lo, Diddy's girlfriend at the time, who was signed to Columbia Records, which 50 was also signed to. J-Lo saw firsthand how talented 50 was and recommended Diddy to work with him, which initially happened. Now let's get into the first major L in the music business. Right after he was banged up from getting shot up in March of 2000, he gets dropped from Columbia Records, which is like adding salt to his injuries. Imagine the hospital bills that came with all those surgeries he had to go through, and then being left with no means of providing to be able to take care of those bills. That was like a punch in the guts. To make matters worse, his album that he had recorded and finished, Power of the Dollar, was shelved, so he couldn't make a dime off his craft at Columbia Records. After this, he had a meeting with Puffy to see if he could get signed, but Puff passed on the opportunity, probably factoring that 50 was a high-risk investment. 50 and Diddy ended up clashing over the years, which ultimately resulted in 50 producing a major hit piece in form of a Netflix documentary about Diddy's downfall, which I'll go into further on later on in this video, so stay tuned. Remember, it's all about turning L's into W's for 50. Not only was he dealing with street beefs, He also had Murder Inc.'s head, Irv Gotti, actively blocking and warning other labels not to fuck with him because it will be going against him. Somehow 50 turned the whole experience into a W. He laid low for a little bit till he healed up and then built a team around him and flooded the mixtape circuit with a shitload of music. There was so many 50 tapes out there floating around in the early 2000s that it was almost impossible to avoid him. He even jacked other artists' songs, taking them off the records, remixing, and making the song 10 times better. His work ethics were unmatched in that era, and he eventually got the attention of Eminem and Dr. Dre, who then took a chance on him when everybody else were scared to.
Okay, so can you guys talk a little bit about how, Dre and can you talk a little bit about 50 and how you guys, when you first heard him, what you thought and how you guys hooked up together?
I'll take credit for that.
You should.
Semi-credit. I heard it. I brought it to Dre. Dre heard it. He was sold. And basically we said, let's do a joint venture.
That gamble ended up paying off big time, as we see now with what he has become 2 decades later. The Game. Another instance of an L would be in the year of 2005, when The Game, who was an added member of the group, decided to go against the unit. That whole ordeal split up the huge fan base that 50 and the unit had amassed at that time. The Game went all out with the backing of Jimmy Henchman, trying to discredit and defame 50 Cent and G-Unit by starting his own G-Unit and no snitching campaign. 50 was able to put a stop to the madness simply by just trademarking the G-Unit name so Game couldn't use it without paying for it or being sued, yet turning another L into somewhat of a W. D-Block. 50 Cent's beef with the Lock saw him take another L when it came to pure hip-hop and lyrical audiences out there. Jadakiss, Styles P, and even Sheek Louch went in on tracks like Checkmate, Shots Fired, I'm Sorry Miss Jackson, Problem Child, I Know That You Pussy, In My Hood. This goes on.
I never tell that much.
No doubt they killed him lyrically, and it almost felt like the whole industry, at least everybody that meant something in New York hip-hop, was going after him. But somehow 50 was able to survive all of that just by being himself. He went back and forth, talked a lot of shit, and exposed Kid's financial situation.
Been in the game 10 years and he still ain't rich. Even his mama upset that he still ain't shit.
And pushed Styles' album back.
But he keep running his yap like I'ma take all that. One more word out his mouth, I push Styles shit back.
The win to me came when he squashed the beef and brought them to his 40-day concert in Queens in the year of 2009. Camron. Back in February of 2007, 50 was on Hot 97 with Angie Martinez, discussing record labels, and he happened to criticize Koch Records for being a graveyard for artists. Jim Jones, who was Cam's guy, was signed to Koch, so Cam took offense to 50's statements, and he decided to call up the radio station. What happened next was nothing more than comedy, as Cam went the Harlem route, yelling and trying to play 50 by calling out his government name, Curtis.
All right, y'all gotta...
Curtis. Yo, Curtis, how much did Mobb Deep sell this year?
You're not gonna be, you can ready to cause a whole different situation. Watch this.
Curtis, how much
Let's not make it a different situation.
He thinks that it's good. He thinks that it's good to go in the competition. I'm not gonna stop competing.
How much did the Mob sell, Curtis?
Let me tell you something. The difference between Dipset and the average artist that signs to
How much did Mobb
Whoa, all right, we gotta shut him off.
How much the Mob and how much Lloyd Banks sold?
Monse.
Doing the same numbers you do.
Monse, we gotta cut it, honey.
Cam even made this song using the name afterwards. While all the noise back and forth was going on, 50 scored a huge win outside of music when he got a huge payday out of his investment from 2004 in vitamin water. 50 had a 10% stake in the company, and the sales grew from 100 million to about 700 million within 3 years with marketing. Coca-Cola eventually bought out the company for $4.1 billion in May of that year, giving 50 a huge payday of around 400 million before taxes. That deal set the tone for all hip-hop deals afterwards, because everybody else has followed the same model since. All that noise and buzz Cam had brought to 50 was quieted down immediately with that deal alone. Also, 50 put the lid on the beef by changing the name of his up-and-coming album that was dropping later on that year from Before I Self-Destruct to Curtis. So any diss by Cam will be a promotion of his album. Kanye West. The next L 50 took in his career would be his loss to Kanye in September of 2007. It was an epic moment for hip-hop as the two giants were battling it out for album sales supremacy. For the most part, until that moment, 50 had basically dominated the airwaves both locally and internationally and sold the most. Although you had Kiss and Styles going at him on tracks that were damaging, that was just all on mixtapes and the underground circuit. Both 50 and Kanye were at turning points in their careers, dropping their third albums. 50 was geared to release Curtis on September 11 of 2007, and Kanye was gearing up for Graduation album for a September 18th release, and he bumped it up a week to set the stage for what was perhaps the biggest non-violent event in hip-hop history, as the two duked it out in a contest to see who would take home a bigger haul of album sales. When it was all said and done, Kanye's Graduation won with a staggering 957,000 units sold, while 50 Cent's Curtis album topped out at 691,000 units. Curtis' album brought in a third lowest first week sales of 50's career. Get Rich or Die Trying sold 872,000 copies in its first week, and The Massacre did 1.4 in 4 days. This was perhaps seen as his biggest L at the time, as the effects of this epic matchup showed hip-hop had made a hard left turn from the aggressive content to a more pop-friendly tune. The W in this situation was that both artists were able to command a record-breaking sales performance as album sales were slumping. Rick Ross. With all the beefs 50 was entangled in throughout his career, and the fact that hip-hop was shying away from the aggressive content at the time, beginning of 2009, Rick Ross, who had the backing of some of the top giants in the game, like Diddy and Jay-Z, saw an opportunity to go at 50 on his Mafia Music song, referencing the house burning incident with his baby mother, while insinuating he was the culprit out of jealousy. Ross, being the underdog, kept it on wax and would supply some of the best beats by all the top producers in the game, while 50 kept it comical, as he didn't see any reason for him to go back and forth with someone who he didn't consider on his level in a former correctional officer. When Ross didn't back down, 50 took the beef a little further by going real personal. He took Rosé's baby mother Tia out shopping, along with Rosé's kids. He was mainly focused on embarrassing him in the eyes of people who think and view things the way we do. But fortunately for Ross, hip-hop's audience at the time had expanded to people who didn't care about authenticity or street cred. It was just about good music, which Ross was pumping out consistently at the time. So Ross survived the 50 blow, and he got bigger, while 50 was going through his rift with his Interscope label due to lack of promotion and interest in his work. 50 eventually dropped his Before I Self-Destruct album later on that year, which was his last requirement under his contract, and it sold 160,000 copies in his first week, which was far less than what he had been doing up until then. Ross sold 158,000 copies of his Deeper Than Rap album that dropped, which is only 2,000 shy of 50's. As an underdog, he had won the beef musically as far as the public saw it. Simultaneously, while the Ross thing was going on, 50 was diversifying his portfolio into other ventures. Since his music wasn't hitting as it did when he first came out, he was working with a company called Sleek Audio to create an headphone design to compete with the likes of Beats by Dre that was selling like hotcakes at the time. 50 eventually took his idea elsewhere and went under a different brand in SMS Audio, which caused a rift with Slick Audio Company. In 2013, Slick Audio Company sued 50, and in 2014, they won $11.7 million in damages and $4.4 million in legal fees, totaling $16.1 million. That was a huge L, to say the least. To make matters even worse, the next year in 2015, LaStonia Livingston, Rick Ross' baby mother, who 50 had posted a clip of her getting donkey slammed on his page, sued and won a $7 million judgment against Fifth. 50, who didn't hold no punches publicly, was a magnet for lawsuits at the time. Everybody saw him as a piñata that they could easily take to court and win against. He had the Slick Audio judgment, now Rick Ross' baby mother, and some other bank loans lingering without enough cash flow to cover because he was invested in so many other ventures. It's the pocket watching part that most of y'all be on. Not my type of content or interest, but for the sole purpose of context, I'll dive a little deeper. On July 13th of 2015, 50 Cent sent a shockwave throughout the industry after it was reported in the news that he had filed for Chapter 11 personal bankruptcy protection. At that time, Forbes had listed his net worth to be around $155 million, so it was a shocker to many. What happened was the filing came just right after his Rick Ross' baby mother judgment, and he was looking for a way to restructure and cover his assets. As part of the bankruptcy proceedings, his financial picture was now being scrutinized and in the public eye. Literally, everyone had something to say about him now that they felt he was defeated. The same media that has always praised him now couldn't wait to tear him down. His reported debts were a little over $32 million, while his assets was at $24 million. Prior to the filing, he had loaned his businesses over $29 million, as revealed during the proceedings. This was a turning point for him, as his hustle spirit kicked in at 1,000. Prior to the lawsuit and judgment, he had developed a TV series called Power that started in 2014 with the Stars Network, which was a smaller premium cable network that required a subscription. He continued to promote and pit the show against any other shows that were on a bigger platform. Empire came out in January of 2015 on Fox Network, which was available to anybody with a TV in their households without subscriptions. 50, being a smart and savvy business giant, immediately started competing and creating a huge discussion around which show was better. Of course, Empire was pulling in a bigger audience than Power, as it aired on a giant network, Fox, but that didn't matter to Fifth, who saw the opportunity to use their momentum for his marketing. That strategy paid off as more viewers tuned in and the audience grew. Also in 2014, 50 had struck a deal with Effin' Vodka to compete with Diddy's Ciroc brand. If you follow 50 on any of his social media platforms, you couldn't have missed the hashtag Effin' Vodka on every post, and you would have noticed that he took every opportunity to jab at Diddy, who was his competition, using the same strategy he used pitting Power against Empire. That also turned out to be a great business idea as Effin' Vodka started selling and moving out of liquor stores. I'll keep it 100 though, that shit was nasty, but that didn't matter. It sold. A true hustler. He wasn't even a drinker. But then again, most crack dealers don't do crack, so that was part of the game. Never get high on your own supply. Another company Fifth partnered with late 2014 was Frigo, a premium underwear brand that sold for $150 a pop. He had announced back then that he signed a $78 million deal with the company. Although I believe this was exaggerated, there was no way of confirming as the details were hidden from his bankruptcy proceedings. That announcement though hyped up the brand and promoted that alongside everything else he was promoting at the time. SK Energy Drink was another company 50 was a part of that launched in 2011. At the time of launch, he publicly committed to donating 1 billion meals to the World Food Program over 5 years. He donated 3.5 million meals between the launch in September of 2011 and January of 2012. With all of this hustles going on, Power was picking up steam and getting bigger. 50 was already prepared for TV way before, with all the straight-to-DVD movies he had been doing that never got big. His catalog is quite impressive if you looked at it, but that was just practice. One of the movies he put out back in 2011 with Things Fall Apart, where 50 lost excessive amount of weight to play his character. That to me showed a level of dedication that is quite unmatched, and I knew from there he was gonna make it big on TV at some point.
Do you work all the time?
Pretty much.
What about your personal life?
I really don't have very much.
See, one thing that applies to all serial entrepreneurs and hustlers is that we can fall or stumble, but we gonna always find our way back up. That ground level wasn't meant for us to be comfortable at. 50 restructured and built himself back up, putting a mansion in Connecticut up for sale, and then downsizing to an apartment in Jersey. In 2016, 50 also sued a law firm that represented him during the Slick Audio negotiations, accusing them of negligence and malpractice. The two sides reached a settlement with the law firm agreeing to pay 50 $14.5 million, the bulk of which was applied to his $23 million bankrupt settlement. He initially owed $36 million, but was able to knock down some of it through bankruptcy negotiations and an agreement to pay it off in 5 years. In February of 2017, 50 emerged victoriously from bankruptcy after he had paid off the 5-year plan early with $8.7 million of his own money and the $13.65 he had received from the settlement from legal malpractice lawsuit against his previous attorneys. All the laughing and giggling and being a butt of the joke was over. It was back to business as usual. This, in my opinion, probably attracted more people and investors to him who believe he was a safe bet now, since he was able to overcome a process that would have crippled the average Joe mentally. It was up from there on. He kept promoting his show Power that was going up. He was making appearances at liquor stores, signing bottles, which was driving up sales, and pushing all his product every single day on his social media platforms. It was non-stop hustle from the kid from Southside. He felt how hard that ground was and didn't want to go back. In 2017, 50 founded Sire Spirits, his own liquor company that produces Bronson Cognac. In 2021, the company partnered with the NBA teams Indiana Pacers, Sacramento Kings, and Houston Rockets. And he also secured a multi-year partnership with the NHL franchise Vegas Golden Knights as the official champagne and cognac of the teams. Power has had multiple seasons and still airs on TV today. He has Raising Kanan, Power Book, and multiple shows across different platforms. Sire Spirits is thriving. Everything he seems to have touched is going as planned. It's safe to say he has fully recovered from the slight hiccup, and he's on his way to becoming a billionaire. A success story in my eyes and an inspirational one. If granted the opportunity, I'd like to have a seat with him and pick his brain. So back to Diddy, man. 50 and Diddy's beef go way back to the early 2000s. And 2 decades later, we are now seeing it in the forefront. To understand what's going on between these two, you have to have some knowledge or understanding about the 48th Law of Power. Law number 15 in the 48th Law of Power states, crush your enemies totally. This is exactly what we are seeing here with 50 and Diddy. Out of all the women in the world, Diddy chose to fuck around with 50's baby mother Daphne Joy. That's Hollywood for y'all. Everybody dipping in everybody cookie jar. Although 50 Cent has publicly stated on numerous occasions that he don't care about that shit, let's be real here. That's still the mother of his child. This reason and a few other things is why they're at highs right now. And 50 is someone who will seize on any opportunity he gets to finish his enemies. Not only did Diddy pass on the opportunity to sign 50 at an early stage in his career, he also tried to play him by requesting he pay $2 million for Mace when he was trying to sign him, which he took as disrespect. On top of all of that, he offered to take 50 shopping like a throwaway hoe, which Fifth didn't take too kindly of. I would say it was a good thing that Puff didn't sign him because I don't think 50 would have lasted on that bad boy system. Can't really picture Diddy dancing all over 50's videos. 50 went ahead and did the deal with M and Dre at Interscope and immediately took over the rap game. 50 owed grudges, regardless of how long it's been. He still remembers and was always jabbing at Diddy throughout the years on his social media. When the Cassie allegations against Diddy broke in 2023, that was like the perfect opportunity for him to finish Diddy.
How did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their source.
Diddy, for some odd reasons, has someone video recording and documenting his time before he was arrested as the lawsuits and allegations of misconduct were piling on. I'm not exactly sure what he was thinking, but I can only assume he thought he was gonna skate just like all the rest of the time he had done in the past. And worst part about the shit was that he didn't pay the guy. Like every other artist, producers that ever worked with Diddy have always alleged in the past. So when he gets locked up, all the footage that were out there by this mysterious videographer ends up in a documentary on Netflix that is executively produced by 50 Cent, his arch nemesis. As of right now, Sean Combs' The Reckoning is #1 on Netflix and it's filled with a lot of shocking allegations that will blow your mind, including all the explicit sexual allegations and some of the beefs which I had covered in some of my documentaries, like the time Diddy and Suge clashed in Atlanta and one of Suge's guy, Big Jake, got killed. The Netflix series even went further by saying Suge held Diddy by the neck, choking him up and using him as a human shield to get up out of harm's way.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
The Netflix documentary also tried to tie Diddy to Tupac's murder, something that has always been speculated over the years without any solid proof. But with the documentary, we see Keefe D, the guy who is currently charged as of last year, gave a proffer about the killing back in 2008, about his connections to Diddy, which was kind of wild. That information wasn't really out there. Then you have allegations that Diddy might have charged Biggs' estate for his funeral, which, if true, will be an ultimate slap in the face to someone he once called a friend. All in all, it just shows 50 will always have the last laugh regardless. Diddy thought he was just gonna play 50 like he did with everybody else, violate his baby mother using her as a sex slave, and trying to groom 50 by offering to take him shopping. But Fifth was determined to have the last laugh, turning those L's into W. It's on Now TV. Make sure y'all smash that like button for me. And also drop your feedback in the comments. Let me know if y'all seen that Netflix documentary. What do y'all think about it? And all the rest of the bullshit that's going on. Until next time, peace.
Hey, what you think about Diddy, man?
Nah, what's up, nah? Diddy that, man. He had more freak offs than me, man.
No, you up the Diddy video, man.
Boy, but he alright, though. Them 1,000 bottles of baby oil, man.
What you think about Diddy, man?
Hey, man.
What you think about Diddy?
Free Diddy, man.
Free Diddy. What you think about Diddy? They got 1,000 baby oils in the closet, bro. Huh?
Oh, that's the worst
Now the
part
baby
about
oil with ecstasy?
That is the worst part about it.
Oh, that was a freak off right there. Keith said he had more freak offs than us, bro. He was doing his thing. He was doing his thing. He a 6'9" God, bro.
6'9" God. He don't care which way it goes.
That's a fact.
He's taking it whether boy or girl. For 30 years, so I know what I'm talking. I know Diddy with Diddy, Jello with Diddy. I know all these people around. I cannot tell everybody name because I know. Even the stripper, the male one, I met him. I know the guy, I saw him. He used to come down there. All the group is going after him. Everybody loves that male stripper. When he come at the club, people say, oh, that's the male stripper coming for the after party. Everybody loves him.